There's a common misconception that most people, including you, fall into the trap of when thinking about self-improvement. See, most of us think that change in your life is about just working harder and being more disciplined, as well as being completely consistent in what it is you're trying to do. But that's not actually where change starts, because the truth is, you don't get results and then become a different person. You become a different person first, and then your life starts to change. But most people just don't operate like this. And most of us like to believe that one day we'll just wake up feeling motivated and focused and be super disciplined with everything we have to do that day. And because of that, everything will fall right into place. But in truth, that day never really comes, because the way you act every day isn't random. It's based on who you believe that you are. And this is where I want to talk about identity and how it truly is formed. And we can't say that identity is something that we choose. It is built. It's built up from lots of choices, behaviors throughout our life, and it's a slow build. It comes from your environment, your parents' beliefs and behaviors. Friends can alter your identity. What things they like become part of what you like. And of course, your experiences. Do you love going to the theme park? Do you love going to the beach? That all builds up your identity. And these are just little labels that you pick up over time throughout the course of your life. However, these labels can be painted out in the wrong way. They could be labels like, I'm not confident, or I'm really bad with money, or even, I'm just not that disciplined. And eventually, you stop questioning these labels or beliefs which are in your mind, and you just accept that this is who I am. And this is really the real problem. And you're going to want to stick around to find out how to fix it. Because this is where most people are getting stuck in their lives. Because they try to change their life, but without changing their identity. You might think, oh, I'm going to try and wake up earlier and do some deep work for 4 hours. Work harder, and stay consistent with this every day of the week. But because of this, every action just feels slightly forced, and like you're fighting against yourself to do it. Because the truth is, you are. Until you become one with the version of yourself and the identity of yourself, which does these things naturally, without thinking and without trying, these things will always feel hard to you. And that's just the plain truth. This is super relatable, and even myself, I've been through this. I really remember a time where, I think it might have been during lockdown, I started a TikTok account where I wanted to do some edits and some cool Spider-Man videos. Sounds really corny, but that's what I wanted to do. And because I had a passion for Spider-Man, and I love the films, I love all the media that comes out surrounding it. The franchise is just amazing. And I tried to be disciplined to, wake up, edit, and post. Just keep it simple and be consistent. But strangely, I just kept having this thought in the back of my mind, this just isn't me, and it wasn't working. There was friction there. I didn't feel like doing it all the time. It felt like a chore rather than a passion project. And I think something being a passion project is really important to make it easier. And I was trying to change my habits, so instead of scrolling, every time I caught myself scrolling, I'd be like, this is time that I could be using to get my content and edit it, clip it together and post it. So I was trying to change those bad habits, but I just kept slipping back and didn't really know what to do about it. Like, I was truly stumped, had no clue where to go, because I loved Spider-Man. I loved the idea of just sharing what I liked with other people. But I just couldn't seem to stick to it. But that's where I started to realise it wasn't really a motivation problem. It was more so just an identity problem. See, before this, I hadn't ever sort of created a social media, an account where I was gonna edit and post things that I wanted to. I've always just had my personal social medias where you're lucky if I post one thing a year. I'm just one of those people. So it really was something different for me. It was outside the box. And so my identity hadn't aligned with that yet. I was still the boy who just posts on his personal Instagram story once or twice a year if you're lucky. So it was just really out of nature for me. And that's where I'd noticed this is just identity, and if I can shift that, I can fix the problem. And yeah, that's where I realised that the real change starts when you shift how you see yourself. Instead of looking at yourself based on your results or the circumstances you're going through, you're really sort of shifting your entire identity. Because every action that you take is essentially just a vote for the type of person you believe you are. If you say, I'm not gonna stay up all night watching YouTube or watching Netflix all night, once you say that, that's a vote of intention, saying, I am gonna be an early riser, I'm gonna get up tomorrow and do what needs to be done. So instead of asking, what do I need to do to be successful? Instead, you rephrase the question to, what would a successful person do in this exact moment? And then you do that thing that you've just pointed out, even if it feels super unnatural to you, or even something small. Because as soon as you think the early riser who is successful wouldn't be up until 3 a.m. watching Netflix, he would be in bed and asleep by midnight. So I better get off Netflix right now. As soon as you realise that and you act on it, you're basically shifting your internal identity and voting for yourself as an early riser too. And this really comes down to the fact that your thoughts truly shape your actions. And your actions, well, they just inevitably create your results. You can't dispute that. And your results just reinforce the identity that you shifted to. So, in a way, it's a loop, reinforcing the identity. So, if you change the starting point, your thoughts about who you are, everything else begins to shift with it. So I really want to get you to lock in right now, because this is where it gets interesting. Because if you take this idea seriously, you can completely change your life, and in quite a short time too, because you're not stuck as the person you are right now. That's just the identity that you've practiced and conditioned yourself into the most. If someone is broke and lost, or has nothing going for them, I would honestly tell them that that's not permanent. It's just a pattern. And patterns can change. It's their thoughts of who they are, impacting their actions, and therefore impacting their results. Because if you can clearly see the person that you want to become, who your end goal, your end vision of yourself is, and you start thinking like them and operating like they would, making all the important decisions like they would, you slowly close that gap between your current identity and the identity that you want to become. I want to try and make this a little bit more realistic and believable though, because this isn't about pretending or lying to yourself, because you can't really go from zero, where you possibly might be at now, to living on a yacht in a year's time based on this identity shift. You become the kind of person who moves towards that life with an identity shift. You don't just become that person immediately. So it's more like shifting between many different identities. It becomes a roadmap of identities. You shift from one to the other, with, if living on a yacht is your end goal, that is the final identity on the roadmap. So step by step and action by action leads you from identity to identity, hopefully resulting in that final identity. So this is where I want you to make a start on this. To pick the version of you actually want to become, you need to be specific and ask yourself daily, what would that person, that version of me, do right now? Not perfectly and not once, but you just repeat that thought. And again, whatever it is that they have to do, you don't have to do it perfectly. Just once, that's all you have to do. And then you do it the next day and the next. Because identity isn't built in just a single decision, but it's built through pure repetition. Building those roadmap of identities will take time and reflection upon actions and thoughts every single day to reach that end identity. And you can do it. You definitely can. I believe you can. Everyone can, because it's a way of breaking it up into small steps. You look at your thoughts, then your actions, and then your identity. It doesn't seem hard when you break it down like that. So it's something that is really actionable. So let's be real here. If you've been feeling stuck lately and like you're not making any progress at all, this could be part of the reason why. You've been trying to change your life, but without changing who you believe you are and your identity. So everything you're trying to do to improve yourself just feels too difficult, and you feel that friction to do that thing that you told yourself you would. So I really urge you to try and change your identity to get to where you're trying to go. I just want to add, before you click off this video, ask yourself, who am I becoming with the actions that I'm taking today, right now, by sitting here watching this video, and what I'm going to do after. And once you ask yourself that question and make that a habit, you'll be able to build your identities very easily and shift from one to the other. And once you've actually implemented this, you'll realise that maybe you never needed more motivation, and you definitely didn't need a perfect plan, but maybe you just need to stop identifying as the person you're trying to leave behind. Because the real way people change their lives isn't by doing more, but it's by becoming someone completely different. Thank you so much for watching this brand new video. I want to thank you all for all your support lately. I would urge you to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a like or comment too, as those really help support me. So thank you all for watching, wasting your time, listening to me, and I'll see you in the next.